Going to be the most focused and intense UAP UFO investigation week that I've had. We're going to be having meetings with Arrow. We're going to have an open hearing to the public.
Yesterday, I made a video about how a UAP hearing was supposed to take place, right? And it was from Representative Burleson's own mouth. It was supposed to be the most focused and intense UFO investigation to include Arrow in focused meetings, right? And that was an incredibly bold claim. And then all of a sudden, after these claims were made, 24 hours later, the House of Oversight and a spokesperson for the House of Oversight stated that there won't be a UAP hearing. And basically no one knew why. And it was incredibly damning because people were like, well, what's gone on here? We've been promised a UAP hearing. We've been promised all of these things with regards to this. And now suddenly the people that were supposed to be there have cancelled. And the general consensus was that, well, this is just a typical tactic of the DOD and of the House of Oversight, who basically just don't want to have to do this anymore. And what they do is Arrow will typically agree to a meeting, agree to a public hearing, and then pull out at the last second, because at least it then looks like they've at least attempted to commit to UAP disclosure. And that was where we kind of left it. And then yesterday, right, we found out that a meeting did in fact take place, right, between Representative Burleson and Arrow, but also David Grush. But it didn't happen publicly like it was meant to. It happened behind closed doors at the SCIF, which begs the question of, well, at least something happened, but what exactly? That's what we want to find out. Now, it was confirmed by Ask a Poll UAPs over on Twitter that this did take place, right? So, scoop. Burleson, Grush, and Arrow sat down yesterday. Full post coming. Subscriber only sneak peek, right? So, they sat down yesterday. So, and this comes from the average Chris, who is a fantastic UFO Twitter person, right? He's great. So according to Ask a Poll, Grush, along with Representative Burleson, had a sit down with Arrow, or the DoD Arrow, yesterday. And what's going to be interesting, did Grush provide information about the whistleblowers group, or did he provide them with stories of the same old insider group? More to come. Now, obviously, this is incredibly interesting, considering these entities were supposed to come together publicly, but they've decided to now do it behind the scenes, which has led to a lot of speculation as to, well, first of all, why was the meeting cancelled? Why was it delayed, right? We've got no word on whether it was delayed. It's just postponed indefinitely right now. And what's gone on? Why was this not allowed to be held publicly? Why did it suddenly go behind closed doors? So, like I say, there's a lot of questions to be answered. So it is in fact the case, right, that Representative Burleson, Eric Burleson, met with David Grush and representatives of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, who are Arrow. Now, according to posts from Ask a Poll, obviously, these people all sat down together on May 13th of 2025. And additional posts on X also corroborate this, like from the blackvault.com and Aerotech Space, noting that this meeting took place and expressing curiosity about what was discussed. While specific details about the meeting's content are not publicly available as of right now, the occurrence of the meeting is confirmed by these sources. So, they actually met over in Washington, D.C., and the meeting took place in the Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, otherwise known as the SCIF, and which is a secure environment for discussing classified information. So this was incredibly behind closed doors. Like, this door wasn't just closed, it was locked, it was jarred, it was bolted, it was padlocked. Like, this was so behind the scenes that no Tom, Dick, Harry, or their cat could get into it, right? So obviously that begs the question of, well, what was discussed? Now, Burleson indicated that Grush provided Arrow with more information than Arrow shared with him or Congress during the discussion. The exact details of what were discussed remain undisclosed due to the classified nature of the meeting at this time, but the focus was likely related to the UAP phenomena and government transparency, given the participants' background and Burleson's involvement within the Congressional UAP caucus. Grush, who has been a special advisor to Burleson since April of 2025, has previously testified before Congress in 2023, alleging that the US government is concealing programs related to the recovery and reverse engineering of non-human spacecraft. Arrow, established by the DoD to investigate UAPs, has consistently stated that they have found no verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial materials or programs, and the meeting appears to be part of an ongoing effort by Burleson and other lawmakers to push for greater transparency on UAP issues, as evidenced by earlier proposals to have Grush, Elizondo, and Arrow in the SCIF together to address discrepancies in information. Now, like I say, as of right now, there are no specific outcomes or agreements from the May 13th meeting that have been publicly reported, and Burleson has not elaborated on any of this further. But the lack of detailed public information aligns with the sensitive nature of the UAP discussions and the constraints of classified settings. For additional context, Burleson's skepticism about extraterrestrial origins and his focus on government accountability have been noted in prior interviews, suggesting that meeting is aimed to clarify or challenge existing narratives around the UAP programs. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of narratives coming out of the woodworks, especially with a lot of whistleblowers coming forward. We've got Jason Sands, we've got obviously David Grush, we've got Lou Elizondo, we've got Matthew Brown, who's just come forward. We've got this guy that's just come out from the Border Patrol, who's just come forward only in the last week. There are a lot of narratives going on, right? Especially around the Immaculate Constellation, and also these reverse engineer programs, and this evidence that maybe behind the scenes there's a lot going on that we as the general public don't know about. Now, there is obviously a lot of question marks still surrounding this alleged meeting and this hearing that was supposed to take place, but then ultimately got canned at the last minute. And it kind of aligns with a lot of these meetings and, public hearings that we're supposed to have, where the DoD, for example, will come forward and say, yeah, we'll definitely, do this hearing with you. We'll send Arrow in to tell you what we know. And then in the last second, they pull the plug, because then they can say, well, we tried. We are trying to give government transparency, but it just didn't work. Logistically, we just couldn't make it work. I don't know why I'm doing Donald Trump hands when I talk about the DoD. I just feel like this is how they would all talk, right? Anyway, so obviously with that being canned and indefinitely postponed, for want of a better term, it's just better than them saying that it's cancelled. It's different. And also with this shift of the meeting now suddenly moving to a very private setting, it asks a lot of questions, like why did they have to move it to an incredibly secretive setting instead of being allowing it to go public for the world to hear as well? Why are only certain hand-picked individuals allowed to hear the information? Why is ultimately the burning question. And unfortunately, me and you of the general public will never be allowed to hear these things behind closed doors, because that's why it's behind closed doors. And it's such a shame, because without the general public like us, there wouldn't be this kind of pressure to find out what's going on. So it's a real shame, because ultimately, like, the people deserve to know what's going on, right? Especially, like, Americans, when it comes to the tax-paying money, which, that's going somewhere. There's a black hole of money that's being sent to the DoD, and it's just kind of disappearing into little loopholes, and it's just like, well, where's that money going? People deserve to know, but instead they would rather hide it behind closed doors and secretively, and say, yeah, we've had a discussion, because it's better than nothing happening, I suppose. But ultimately, it's not what we want. What do you guys think, though? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe. Will we ever get, at this point, disclosure? Will this meeting ever take place? Let me know. I'll speak to you later. Peace.